Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And thank you to all the panelists for joining us here today. And of course, Nebraskans are praying for the people of East Palestine and this terrible tragedy. We've got a number of railroads that go across our state as well. And so we're praying for a good outcome here with regard to the cleanup. Ms. Shore, I'd like to address my first couple questions to you. I'm sure you agree that Americans deserve timely and helpful updates when it comes to an environmental catastrophe, right? Yeah. She nodded yes. Okay, great. And you agree that Americans should be confident when they return to their homes that they're safe to return to, right? Okay. So what are some of the things that the EPA has learned from with your response here that you would use to be able to improve going forward with regard to, we've heard how the people of East Palestine are not believing what the government's saying. What can the EPA do, or what have you learned from this to be able to help for the next incident, to be able to help the people of that community get the information, feels like it's safe to return to their homes?
Thank you, Senator Ricketts. And first, let me say I bring greetings from your sister, Laura, who's been a longtime friend of mine back in Illinois. And to your question, we are still enmeshed in the cleanup of the derailment. And that's our primary focus. We need to clean up the site, get the contaminated waste out of there, and then focus on the longer-term remediation. There will be an after-action report, and we'll be able to drill in on what lessons we can learn and how we can do better. But right now, we need to clean up this site as safely and quickly as possible and ensure that the necessary safeguards are in place to protect human health and the environment.
All right, thank you, Ms. Shore. Mr. Shaw, I'm going to ask you basically the same questions. So I'm sure you agree that Americans should have timely information when there's a catastrophe like this, right?
Yes, sir. It's an emotional issue, and it was a devastating derailment for the folks of East Palestine. That's one of the reasons that we set up our Family Assistance Center within 24 hours and have served 4,400 families. We've also established a website, nsmakingitright.com. That's based on feedback that I've gotten from the community as I've walked around and talked to people. They want more information, sir.
Yeah. And so I'm sure you agree that people want to know when it's safe to go back to their homes as well. What has Norfolk Southern learned from this that would help them to be able to provide that information to people so that they can feel comfortable in going back into their homes and they're getting the proper information in a timely way? What have you learned about what you would do differently going forward?
You know, Senator, in the immediate aftermath of this derailment, we had air monitoring in place. We had water monitoring in place. We've been collaborating with the EPA. My understanding is all the tests have shown that the air is safe and the water is safe. Senator, to your point, when we set up our website, I asked the citizens of East Palestine for feedback. I asked them to tell me how we could make it better. And what they have asked for is information on that website on the results of those air tests and the water tests. And Senator, I've also made sure that we point folks to the results of the Ohio EPA and the federal EPA air and water tests. They're the experts, and we're here to support them.
Mm-hmm. So is there anything in hindsight that you'd say, hey, we should have done this better when it comes to how we're communicating with the people of East Palestine?
You know, Senator, there are always opportunities to improve communication. I was there very soon after the derailment. I immediately went to the Norfolk Southern's Family Assistance Center, and I immediately went to the Red Cross shelter. And I told them who I was, and I told them the company I represented. I made sure they knew that I was the CEO of Norfolk Southern. And I also made sure that I asked if they were getting everything that they needed from Norfolk Southern.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Shaw. I yield back.